It's been a while since we last spoke. You broke my heart and left me hanging. Hey, how you've been? It's been a while. I see you going to new clothes on and changed your hairstyle. You look good and go, but why do I still hurt when I see your feet? Hurt when someone mentions your name. Hurt when I pass by your old place.
Hello, chat. This definitely isn't the second time we've done this intro. I'm just here to make as many K-pop Demon Hunter references as possible.
Oh my god.
This is the first time this series has happened. Definitely didn't try and cast this one before. But yeah, to be fair, last time I got to not cast and talk to my wife, so that was a huge debut. Anyway, my name's Jace. I'm on play-by-play for tonight. That's Saya, Thorimeya, Saya, Thori, whatever. How are you doing? And I guess just let's just jump right into having a look at the bracket and showing off these two amazing teams.
Yep. Let's take a look at this bracket. Aurora versus Blind Music Society. Interesting bracket we're actually looking at. I think a lot of upsets are happening in B League, and this is one that at least should be an interesting tale, whether this set of upsets of play-in teams making it in to upper semis will continue, or if Aurora is going to stop the bleeding somehow.
Yes, absolutely. I was just doing the Aurora warm-up. Those guys are locked in and ready to go. Blind Music Society, this just might be the rage bait fest of the century, I feel like. Joshin and Yuki on the same team against Doors. I feel like it's rage bait incoming and rage bait incarnate. Both of these teams have got a lot of storied players and with a good mix of sort of newer and fresh faces as well. B-League bracket has been a wonderful surprise this season, Saya, because I don't think anyone expected Mothmania and School of Rush to be in the lower round one after their regular season. But nonetheless, here we are. It just proves that time and time again, regular season is unfortunately a little bit fake. It's all about what happens when you go into the best of threes.
I agree. Regular season, all that really matters is you're not that last seed in your respective group, and if you can swing your way in, that really is how it goes. But let's take it. There are other matches happening this week. By the way, I think there's one more tomorrow, the last A-League for this round of matches. But let's take a look at this Aurora roster. You did say a couple of names and a lot of flexibility also in the roles played. Cursius and Luster and Chimarin running that DPS line. You have Dawes and Baka being that Dawes being that stable tank. Baka and Nightingale and Funky Pants running that back line, but with all their available roles, there is some flexibility on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to mention that Aurora, right before this game, have lost arguably an MVP candidate and arguably the strongest person on their roster. Their most reliable DPS, Wave Arrest, is out for the season and will be no longer playing for Aurora. And he has been a huge part of this roster. I believe I talked a little bit with Pers, just due to personal issues and family matters. So whatever's going on in Wave's life, it's more important than Overwatch, and very sensible and smart of him to drop out rather than leave his team high and dry and they get in a replacement. But the good news is Aurora have got plenty other solid pieces to step up, I think, Saya. Barker, aka Kevin, I'm just going to call him Kevin because he's got like 15 names. Kevin has been excellent this season, particularly on the Brigitte. Dawes, I think, is number 2 in terms of MVP candidates, truthfully. And Pers and Luster have also had pretty solid seasons on their respective picks as well. Chimarin not available tonight, but will slot in pretty well once they get this game under their belts.
Yep. But before we enter, there's another team opposing them, hoping to sneak their way into this upper semis from the play-ins. We have Blind Music Society headed, I think, by Mani is their captain, from what I believe. So DPS line running it is Chizakina, Tilted Waffle, and Joshin. Yukino on the tank. And finally, wrapping up that back line is Mani, Potato, and Nagisa, who, just similar to Aurora, lots of flexibility also in roles as needed or if needed.
Yeah, Chizakina unavailable for Blind Music tonight, I believe. Yuki is able to play in com, which will be a huge buff. I think Blind Music, again, both of these teams are missing their, dare I say, their star pieces in terms of DPS. Wave not available and Chizakina not available, I think is a big loss for both teams. It's about how these other pieces that haven't played that much this season haven't had the most time compared to these other sort of, I would say, stand out and definitely star DPS players. It's about how they adjust and how they adapt to a playoff scenario. When you're a bench player, you've got to be ready to throw it in at any moment. You've got to be able to perform as best as you can. So it's going to be a big test. One thing I will say is that the tank and support line of Blind Music has been solid all season. It's given them a really good foundation of which to build upon, and it's one of the reasons that they are the number 3rd seed in the Birch group.
Yep, but they are not the team to first pick which map we're entering. That is a chance given to Aurora as that number 2 seed entering into playoffs, and they have decided to bring the teams to Ilios, which, honestly, one of the more interesting maps for me personally to cast. But let's take a look at the bans, as these teams have already banned out a couple of characters in the lineup. Aurora going for that Wrecking Ball ban right away, and Blind Music Society early Kiriko ban. So for those who like curses, normally Kiri is banned on map 3 for some reason. This time around, it's on that first map.
Yeah, and Kiri is just a good ban on this map. I often talked about removing the muscle memory of teams, and everyone has just been playing, pretty much anyone streaming at this level has been playing Lucio, Kiriko, Soj, Genji, and Orisa for like the last year and a half. So any chance you get to take away a ban on one of these characters, it's just big for muscle memory. It lets your players that potentially haven't played in those metas or just are more comfortable on other heroes actually play those heroes, because they're not able to when these characters exist because they just did so much value. Aurora taking away the Wrecking Ball ban here, I would say that's not bad. I would potentially question it on it being open available on some of the later series. Yuki is very much a ball one trick by choice and not by force compared to some of the other wrecking relays that we've got in the league, Epic Shock, Maeda, and Gilgamesh. As the 3 that we've got, all of them I would say are ball one tricks. Yuki, definitely a bit more flexible and will probably just play Orisa or a Ramatra or Hazard potentially.
Yep. And I do agree with you on this very early Wrecking Ball ban being, a bit questionable. There are, I think, other maps where it feels like maybe it might be a stronger ban to use at that moment. Something maybe more like the Payload or Hybrid maps, or even something to the Aiken of Flashpoint. But as we load in to Ilios, it'll be interesting which first sub-map we will be heading to. But I do agree, a lot of Orisa might be played, and sometimes that is also a crutch, because if you are known to be playing Orisa for most of the season, and you go up against a team who didn't play Orisa, but then finally learned how to play Orisa, it might be.
Yeah, and one thing I will say is that definitely, in retrospect, with Aurora having only Luster and Purrs available, Luster has just been... can we at Tyler? Okay, anyway, I think... Wrecking Ball is a terrific option into the Freya that Luster has been playing all season. So getting rid of that Hampter to deal with the Norse Bounty Hunter, good move from Aurora. And it's never bad, to be fair, on a map, on a point where you know that Wrecking Ball is good, to get rid of that Hampter. So I think in retrospect, actually, with it being Elios and with them having access to Luster's Freya here completely unmarked, going to be pretty good. Purrs opting to go over to the Genji, so not playing the 6 damage Tracer. Her spread has been nerfed a little bit, but it's still quite good.
Yep, already on this point, Yukino looking for a dive, but is unable to do so, dropping very low, taking lots of damage, forcing Blind Music to kite it just a bit. Luster taking out Yukino in the end, but it's an even trade. No Ana on the playing field for Aurora just yet, and the picks are going along the way of Red's Blind Music Society. Not blind, apparently, managing to get the kills in all of that.
Yeah, that was actually a really quick fight. Like, Yuki just gets like insta one-shot by the insane amount of Freya damage. Door's the same, and it just ends up being tilted waffle, hitting their shots on the Soj early. Really good play from them.
But interestingly enough, both sides making swaps, but rather than going for a Has Mirror, Yukino, the one deciding to just go play that D.Va instead. High ground already being taken by Blue of Aurora, trying to set up their Ana for success, but Yukino already dropping very low, has to kite out and make sure they're still up and healthy. Counter dive occurring, trying to melt out Dawes, who is dropping immensely low, but the deflect of Perseus is just there to save and bail them out. No trades just yet, just some point capture with Freya on the point and split from everyone else in the team. But Perseus and Nightingale in the backline, just looking for a pick, getting huge value, and this is looking like blue flavored screen.
Definitely, it's all blue on the left side of the kill feed. Blind Music, they don't really position well in terms of point. They look to go for the counter dive, but it gives all the space in the world to Aurora, as Dawes is able to go through that engage and live. They've got the pocket. Look at the support ultimates that are charged by Aurora as well. Both of them ready to go, and definitely this is a composition where once you've got the rally, once you've got the nano, pretty hard to do anything in terms of actually punch back if you are Blind Music Society. Nanoblade potentially might be online if you decide to go for good old reliable, good old classic, but I think they might even just look to give the Nano Winston over, not to cleave out the backline, particularly on the Lucio. And nope, Dawes does not get Nano, does not get anything, and Joshin just blows them up. It's an illegal amount of value from Joshin. There's no way the Witcher should be allowing to let Joshin on Tracer do that.
Nope, not at all. Joshin managing to get Dawes out of the screen. Just as you were trying to cast that a nano on a monkey would be a great idea, they did not expect a stick to get the value it did, and no one really marking Joshin on Tracer as effectively as I think both DPS of Aurora have decided to focus on whittling down the core of Blind Music Society instead. But there are 3 ultimates on board for them. Good old reliable Nanoblade might be the play, especially with the DPS line of Blind Music Society slowly just changing ults.
Yeah, you got to remember that the spread does not really affect tanks, because the spread is obviously a lot better against the squishy heroes with the hitbox bigger. Hers goes in with the dash though. Dawes gets the nano into the Primal Rage. So he's got nice and healthy in terms of HP. Yuki trading though. Again, it's all red on the left side of the kill feed. Purple's the blade and trades by 2 actually. The West Coast Genji looking to slice them up, show them a bit of California love. Ready and able to go. Nightingale with a 2-piece to end the fight as well. And Aurora stay alive through Blind Music's ult dump. To be fair, a little bit of an ult dump from both sides. Staya, as the dust settles, what do you think of this position for Blind Music?
I think Blind Music will only have that window and that pulse from Josh, and I think you should be able to at least maybe hopefully get a pick from that BAP window, but Luster instead with this good positioning on the higher ground, but split from everyone else, just means it's easier to poke in damage, especially with that huge anti followed up by Nightingale, who it's harder to get pressured out. I think it's more of how do we get Yukino
Luster
not to
again.
create. Yep, it's more of Yukino just taking way too much damage. I don't think this comp is working as well, but the window is popped with that anti, and it's not really looking great. It is huge.
Yeah, this wasn't even a fight, by the way, from Blind Music Society. They just get picked off one by one. Both their DPS eat the right clicks of the Freya. There's no stealthing. Yuki gets poked out. And honestly, the DPS get poked out. There's just like a little bit of ADHD, I think, going in there from Blind Music. No patience. You're understanding that the Freya in this defensive position is just so strong. The bowler comes back in straight on the head of the Brigitte. She is going to survive. It's 99 burns, which means they need to go over to the point. Luster should just fall. And of course, Brid on the battlefield means it's really difficult for Yuki to play there. So I know as well, bashed out of mech. And that all but does it for Blind Music Society. And honestly, Aurora, they get a really nice retake with their ultimates. They win the ultimate dump war, and from there, Luster just gets 2 picks, and Blind Music Society completely ran out of the building. Nightingale hits a great nade after it, and it's 5 to 10 seconds where Aurora just completely out-mechanic Blind Music.
I think it's a mix of just out-mechanic, but also the level of I think, patience with their engagement. It seems that Yukino just takes way too much damage before they could even, hit that go button to press on the attack. And when they take so long, sometimes with that setup, the Ana of Nightingale just throws a nade from, across the building and just gets 3, 2 at a time. And if you only have Baptiste lamp to keep yourselves up, that's a huge cooldown gone from the wayside right away. So it just makes it easier for Aurora to re-engage. And so they have decided to stick to that same composition they were getting value with. Blind Music Society, though, going over to this Orisa, hoping to turn things around with a brawlier kind of composition.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Blind Music, I just need to look into the future and take your mask off, because Tilted Waffle again gets caught unaware, just poked out, dying pre-fight to just W and M1, which is just Aurora composition, by the way. It's not a standstill and M1 composition, but it is poking out thanks to the Freya and thanks to the very limited range options that they have. It should be illegal, the amount of pre-fight picks. And you're saying that Yuki's getting poked out. I agree, but I think the DPS of Blind Music can be held particularly accountable. Again, Tilted Waffle just sort of dies in front of their whole team. So much damage. Yuki, I don't really think the Orisa is too good here, but Aurora just, again, they just kind of win a free fight.
I'm wondering if there is a reason that neither of them want to go for this kind of Freya mirror in this sense, because I think there is just more poke potential from Freya compared to this Cassidy of Tilted Waffle, especially if Tilted Waffle wants to play an off angle. Bolas committed by Luster manages to get the lamp out, but does not get anything else in the process. Blind Music Society kiting just a bit, forcing out the window of Potato to clear things up, make some space, and that allows for Yukino to push on to the point just as effectively. Sleep Miss doesn't get anyone, but Joshua is forced to use recall, allowing Dawes to go in with this nano, get picked, right click, Monkey doing the work.
Yeah, really good sniper Monkey there. Dawes and Luster all over the left side of the kill feed. Blind Music just get caught between a rock and a hard place. They have no objective point pressure because Aurora are just camped on it. That window does not get them any space. I actually think the presence of the Freya alone is really, really dampening. It almost puts the handcuffs and the electric chair on Yuki in terms of that level of restraint. Like, you can't play the game. You have to be so careful when Freya's on the map there, because if Yuki's peeking for even more than a second, Luster is just going to take all their HP.
Exactly, and I think a lot of it is where our backline is also stuck on, but 4 ultimates to play with for Aurora, not so much for Blind Music, but Primal committed to really just go in, get a pick, force out Beat and the High Noon, gets Perseus out of all of that, and a Terra Surge that should get Wool all to support.
Huge Terra Surge.
Huge. And I think for Blind Music, you just stabilize on point, no point chasing after Dawes. If you're Aurora, you're glad that you forced out what is probably 4 ultimates from Blind Music Society, so you're going into this with a Rally Blade. The Dry Blade itself should at least keep you up and help you survive. I
mean, as long as Pers just doesn't sort of hit the which clip was it? It might have been Dick. I think it was, they just sort of went into the blade 1v5, but as long as they just force anything out before they pull the blade, yeah, there we go. They actually fight with the blade, they use it as an ultimate. Pers dies though, so now the rally's on if a Potato kills 2 people as well. So Dawes and Pers. Okay. Aurora, I think, just potentially a little bit too impatient there. They only needed to win one fight there, and
they should be able to win one fight. They have time to build to another set of ultimates. Your closest is that Nano, and that should be enough to keep you alive. Joshua looking for a huge pick with that stick, gets nothing for their troubles. A bit too antsy there. I think if you're Aurora, you just have Dawes poke out a bit, get that Nano, and then re-engage with it. I think that's your best bet right now.
Yeah, they get another bite of the cherry, luckily. As I said, they beefed the fight with Nano. They beefed the fight with Rally and Blade, but luckily the Nano Winston is just so much value. It's traded 1 for 1, it's Luster dies, so that's a lot of your damage gone. The Yuki threatening to fall really low, however, they are Orisa, so they will just gain 100 HP on that right click on whatever the fortify button is bound to, thanks to Blizzard. Terra Surge comes in, doesn't manage to pull anyone from halfway across the map, but they just burn him through it. There's no care, there's no lamp, there's no window to keep the Orisa alive, and they're just too committed to it. Tilted Waffle now, holding the High Noon in the face of Perseus, and that's always going to be the death of the Genji. Bachelor down. Oh, and it's a panic at the disco for Blind Music Society. Their luck has run out, and for map 1, unfortunately, defeat for Blind Music Society. That's exactly what it sounds like. And the huntrix
Music.
become the hunted. Off they go.
Oh my god, the music did not go in the way of Blind Music Society, all in the favor of Aurora, who really splendid re-engagements from them when they did lost that point in Ruins. I think some of the one fight they did like lose pretty early on just might be, as you said, a bit antsy, kind of overextend yourself just a bit, really weren't on the same page for that, but it does not matter when you do get the win at the end of the day. So for Aurora, taking it the first map means they gotta wait where we're headed for second map, unless they get to decide it.
I'll be brutally honest, it's a really good sign for Aurora when you can have 97 to 35. You have you have Rally and Blade against nothing from the side of Blind Music. You can int that fight and then win with just Nano. It's a really good sign now. Like, you're allowed to just beef a 2-ult fight where you just need to take space, rally somewhat early, get out Lamp, and then maybe one other cooldown, and then clean up with Blade. And they don't manage to go for that. They get picked off. Some really nice individual plays from the side of Blind Music to squash that ultimate advantage and flip it. Really nice fight win from them. But then they just have Nano. As I said, they get 2 bites of the cherry. So that first attempt, again, was a little bit nervous because I'm thinking, how are you losing with Blade Rally in that position? Sometimes it does happen, but nonetheless. To go again, really, really good from Aurora. Just a good sign for them for the rest of the series that these key fights, they're almost allowed to lose when they've got clear ult advantage and get away with it.
Yep, exactly. So looking pretty well for Aurora, but for Blind Music Society, not that much. I think that now that you have at least the Wrecking Ball back in play, should Yukino decide to play Wrecking Ball, means that I think Blind Music Society might be in a position where they're a bit more comfortable, right? You have your tank player on a tank that they'd, I guess, rather play. And now expecting it's never getting banned afterwards, but that pulse bomb from Joshin onto Dawes was quite a sight. That he should not have gotten away with that one.
It was some illegal value, I think. The fight wins were very, very back and forth, and often I feel like Aurora have such a good composition. They take fights on an objective. The bridge is just so good here, and that's something that I would absolutely ban if I were Blind Music. They've got options here to BMS because they're going to get the map pick and I believe the option to select ban order as well. Both this Freya and this Brig I don't think should be allowed to survive. I don't think they should have been allowed to survive on this map anyway. I'm going to say that they just decided to not ban the Freya on this map because they thought they had a composition to go against it. It's potentially not bad when you know that they're taking away your Wrecking Ball, which is like your best character. So it's like, okay, you ban Wrecking Ball, we're just going to lose the map, or we're going to try and play without Freya. So going into the next map, we have Ball open, you don't have Freya open, we're going to take away your best hero, we're going to get ours back, etc, etc. Now, unfortunately for Blind Music,
unfortunately or fortunately, because they definitely got the map.
Unfortunately for Blind Music, Aurora have a good record on all of these hybrid maps.
And I think that might be why they ended up going for something like Numbani instead, because if you both are actually doing decently well in hybrid maps, both have taken 1 win, right, on each of these maps, you might as well go for the one where your opposing team lost the map and you didn't. So Numbani looking like the best option. If it wasn't Numbani, it would have been Hollywood, right? I see no point going to Blizzard World where you drew it once. I just realized it's a 0-1-1.
Yeah.
But Aurora opting to ban the Baptiste means that they definitely know that Potato is getting the value that they want from that character. A couple of those kills on Ruins were courtesy of Potato, just from sheer mechanics, so that's a great idea. Ban. And there is the Freya ban, as you expected. Luster doing so much work for Aurora, and I think in a map like Hybrid, I think that's a better shot at you having to ban that Freya, because there's just more predictable choke points that you have to fight through.
Yeah, so, like, low-key, here's the thing. BPL are more champs, by the way, real talk. But nonetheless, like, low-key, here's the thing. Aurora have been very difficult to ban against all season because they've got a Genji one trick and they've got a Freya one trick. Now, they're both more flexible than that, but that's pretty much I'm going to use the word one trick as not an insult, as sort of just a soft way to explain, hey, they heavily prefer these heroes. Now, the issue with banning is that if you were to ban one, they just sub the other one in. So your ban's effectively wasted. Now, you actually get to ban the one trick, the preferred hero of the player that has to stay in the lobby because Chimarin is unavailable. So wiping out the Freya means that they have to put Luster in, who cannot play his best character and probably has really good reps on this map. They've got to go to something else. Let's see what they go with. This is a big time for Blind Music Society. I'm not saying they should win this map because it's never won on paper fair, but taking away Freya is like a hard commitment if we need to win this map. Otherwise, the rest of the series, man, you've got to play against Freya. It's rough.
But I think if you are, at least for Blind Music, you have a backline hero pool that are all there. Mani's there, Potato's there, Nagisa's there, so should one of the heroes that they prefer to play be bad,
Nagisa
like in that case, Nagisa is now in, just playing that Kiriko. And she is very comfortable on that character. I think Kiri and Ana are definitely her preferred flex support heroes. So we can already see Aurora trying to clear out this left side, and Luster already being bothered by the Wrecking Ball pick already on the side of Blind Music.
Oh. Luster just dies as well in rotation. Paw Patrol. How on earth do you get in that spot? Music boots funky off the map. North gets the trade, but it's already so heavy in the favor of Blind Music, unless both supports. Okay, we're all on the same pixel against Dawes Winston. Okay, this is the... Can someone just mute Austin, please? I don't want to see spectators typing. Thank you.
Can I just say that...
How do they win this, by the way? This is illegal.
No. They won that because as much as you want to aggress together as a team, right? Monkey still does the damage you need when you're very low, right? And like Dawes was full health, all of that. Mani really going a bit too aggro, being in their sidelines, but what's aggro instead is still the Dwaffle, who is getting so many of these kills this time around. The Soldier working in their respective favor. Trying to find a slam or sorts, but is being harassed by Perseus, and I think that might be the team's answer to this Wrecking Ball of Yukino.
Yeah, that's all Pose needs to do, by the way, because Blind Music Society's DPS are going to have such a tough time taking angles. Why? Because they just don't... I mean, they've got a season of playing with Wrecking Ball, but it's not as much compared to playing with a Winston or a Diva. Your timing windows are different. It's definitely a unique playstyle playing with the Wrecking Ball. You just can't kind of do what you want and hope that your tank will hold space for you. So Pose just has to make Yuki's life a living hell, and by proxy, their DPS are going to have a much harder time. I will say that Tilted Waffle has done well hitting these railguns so far in this series. An exceptionally quick railgun overcharge might be available. Sorry, overclock. There we go. It's online. Do they get the 150 charge? Let's see, because they're just boosting up, and no, Luster takes them down because they kind of PGE slid into the enemy team. Unfortunate, did not go for the hit timings as Nagi falls because she's got no valid TP targets, and the Lucio falls after. Something to look forward to in the rest of this series, guys. Look how often Nagi and Music addicts, aka Mani, are split, because this Kiriko has died now twice because she doesn't have a safety P to her Lucio. Just keep a running counter.
Yep, I think part of it also is some of these engagements and these ultimates don't really have the follow-up utility from the respective teams, right? That railgun overclock from Tilted Waffle really doesn't get the value it wants because there just was no follow-up from the team as everyone is split, and that's just the downside of playing this Wrecking Ball comp, forcing out the Primal of Dawes, who manages to get Mani off the map, but mines are available. Final slash punch from Dawes. Dawes putting up an MVP level performance here on this point, just getting the kills when Blind Music Society can't stabilize.
I mean, Pers gets flung into the minefield, that's unlucky, but I will say Dawes is in a perfect position to show off their true MVP caliber. When you're playing against Wrecking Ball, the tank matchup doesn't really happen as much. You just have free license to jump on their backline, especially at this level, and Dawes has done an exceptional job. Basically won them first point cap by themselves, killing 3 on their own 1v3, and now showcase the primal mechanics, potentially might get a nano as well. And again, like Yuki with the pack rat as well, not going to be doing as much damage to Dawes, so looking to ignore that Winston. But luckily, Dawes is ignoring them and just killing that whole team around him.
Nano, they committed by Joshua to clear things up along with that beat. The Pulse Bomb manages to get money in the process. Trade's looking like it's all red at the end of the day. Not enough much HP to stay alive. The armor from the rally of Paw Patrol just managing to keep everyone else up. This is how the story's been looking like, right? Blind Music Society gets a decent trade, right? It looks like it's all up to them, like it's all up on their side. But the remaining players of Aurora, whether it's Perseus and Dawes or Perseus and Dawes with Paw Patrol, manage to clean things up at the end of the day because everyone else is low, and that's just a struggle. But Joshua manages to get Luster, so that's less damage off the board, forcing Perseus out with that rail.
Yeah, nice hit from Blind Music Society. They just need to get their one and leave because they need their cooldowns back as fast as possible to go for it. And it's important to mention 3.5 minutes left on second point. Aurora have the option to completely counter swap. Like, Song was open as well if they need it, probably don't. Aurora playing so fine so hard. They've lost Wave. As I said, one of their top tier candidates, one of the best in the league. But Tilted Waffle takes down Pers for now. And just as I praise the DPS side of Aurora, unfortunately, they get Jace cursed, they get Caster cursed, and they get railgunned by Tilted Waffle. The doors kill Cleveland Music Addicts. It's 1-for-1.
Yep, there is mines on the points. The cart really can't move just as easily without getting hit. Split is Funky Pants on the side as Joshua tries to pepper them out with 55 HP left on their side. It's looking like it's in the favor so far of Blind Music. Finds the Ana, knows they have no sleep. Recall available just means they can clearly get out. So Joshua playing their health pools very well and finds a split monkey from everyone else. So
yeah,
we look at the ults. Yeah, very, very deep indeed. So ults-wise, if you're Aurora, you just back off. Hope you don't lose your Brig in this chase. Good swap, good actual follow-up pick, so that's going to take a while for Tilted Waffle to come back. But you should be looking at what might be an ult advantage of sorts. That's a stick. That's one. Never mind, ult advantage gone. This is fair game again.
A nice stick, actually. Paw Patrol just sort of gets stuck on the wrong end behind the shield. The good news for Aurora is that you've been excellent in controlling car. Basically only needed to win 1 or 2 fights the whole map to actually get it into final point, which means you can ult dump in this last one. And that's all you need. Pulse from Purge goes wide, doesn't manage to find onto the bot line. Nagi doesn't have the major perks, and Nano does not peel her. She's vulnerable, and that means the Primal Fist of Fury from Doors are going to clean them up. Joshin gets a trade on to Luster, but it's all Purge on the left side of the kill feed. Tracer 1v1 with the New York skin, I believe. Actually, no, that's Joshin, never mind. It's Aurora. And they show them, they tell them to stand up and face the music. Aurora put on a show. And Blind Music Society, it looks like the lights are a little bit too bright for them so far in this playoff series.
Exactly. For Aurora, just, I think, better, I think after, like, mid-fight, post-mid-fight, I guess, selections were just better for their picks. Always seeming to win what is an even trade just at the end of the day. So whether that is just the positioning of the players who are still alive from Blind Music or sheer mechanics, hard to really tell. So let's see if Blind Music will still be running the same composition, but oh. Are we not surprised?
I mean, I think Numbani's a weird pick because I wouldn't say it's absolutely terrific for ball. But I guess the hybrid maps, there's not that many this are. I am just going to sort my microphone out real quick. So I'll give the floor over to you, Thea, to sort of talk about what you think Blind Music can change and adapt to here as they look to try and take on not the best time managed in the world, but it's one where they've really got to get their ass into gear.
I think the chaos of a Wrecking Ball composition with a Kiriko and a Pharmacy should cause enough problems of sorts to really make this more stagnant on a Brig backline feel uncomfortable, because then you're forcing players like Luster and Funky Pants to really start having to DPS and put shots in. So for everyone else on Blind Music, you're able to just pepper out maybe this Winston much better, but Bubble committed. You could already see Joshua trying to look for picks into that tiny room where the Ana likes playing. Well, you can always try to force them out also through different angles. So already forcing a couple of cooldowns from the blue team, and from Aurora is Blind Music Society, dropping very low with Joshua. But the Mercy is really just there to help the Pharah, but that is not enough if you're not getting the kills.
Well, on Mercy, that is what I would call interesting. I'm just giving the pocket over, I assume, to Joshin on the far, letting them play their signature hero. Tilted Waffle now going over to the Tracer. I think Farah's going to be difficult here, but it's not bad to go with hits in terms of the ball as well, right? Like, that's what you want. You want big burst damage as the ball goes in for their slam gauge.
I think that is what I agree with, and I think Tilted Waffle swatching over to the Tracer is really just there to actually ensure there's decent follow-up with Yukino on the slams, along with the damage from the peppering of the Farah in the sky. So it might be just an all-in trying to get massive damage in, but Nagi is caught off guard and is found out by Funky Pants because I don't think there has been a stable engagement. But Josh manages to get Luster through all of this, and the Winston.
That's like a solo barrage. They go for the shield perk as well. Joshin just kills 3. There we go. The Flying Dutchman returns after a long time in BPL. They are back. Hitting those Farah mechanics. Nice direct. Honestly, that's the best use of that ultimate in Overwatch 2. Just solo barrage the monkey. They can't go anywhere.
I agree. And I personally think I am with at least Joshin. At least when I opt to play a Farah, I'd rather take the shields perk. But those just Sniper Monkey themselves manages to get money off the board, but the trades are already going in the favor of Blind Music Society. They just really need to cap point, and that's been a bit of a struggle for them at least right now. Forcing the Primal out of Dawes and the Mines on the point.
Yeah, I don't want a node emoji, but I think when you've got the Mercy pocket and moving barrage is good. I think the moving barrage perk is actually quite OP, but I'm not a Farah connoisseur, so I'll trust Joshin's point and understanding in this scenario. Dawes is never going to be able to reach and test there. Now, let's talk about the backline for Blind Music Society heading into the second point. It's Mercy. As weak as Mercy has ever been. Mercy is so weak, but Nagi, she's going to be really hard for her to TP because what are your safe TPs as Kiriko in this competition, right? It's like what your Mercy and your Farah. So that means that both supports for Blind Music Society are a really, really prime target. Thea, I think Blind Music are in a case where they just kind of need to be gambling and hitting. Because if you let Aurora stable and shoot and stage and dive onto your backline, once you fall over, I think it's going to be really hard for this Farah to retake.
I think a lot of it also is nice shots, but I think if you do play Mercy, right, a lot of this is hiding out of the angles of everyone else to just easily dive you, and you see Dawes trying to do that, and Joshin doing a great job of just peeling out right away so the Mercy doesn't die. I think the biggest problem really of this composition is you really have to coordinate these really full-on dives onto a target, and there really isn't a point presence. There's another solo barrage onto the tank just as expected.
Good. I mean, Diva, now you have no Diva. That is probably the best counter into Farah in Overwatch 2. The hit stuns you can dive bomb them, particularly with a Mercy pocket. Not only is it kill, it might even be more than a kill, because Dawes would have respawned by now on any other character. They would have been on their way. If you can get them before they get in the mech as well, it's a Giga stagger. Unfortunately, I think Dawes is just going to get their mech back for free. So it's enough to get a little bit of cart progress. Oh my god, they killed Dawes at the perfect time. So good for Blind Music. This is a huge opportunity for them to take tempo and increase. Yeah, UT transfers as well. This might just be second point with the power of Mercy and Farah, two heroes we've seen basically not at all season. Like Music Society.
I think, and this is how I view this, I think you're intentional, the focus of Aurora to play this more on a break comp just really leads into the value of a Far Mercy getting the value it wants. Oh my gosh, that's a Mercy kill on the board.
With the res as well. Mine's on point. C9. Okay. Okay, at the end of the day, all right, this is everyone dying to bomb here, by the way. Oh, it's just Music Edits. Goodbye, Marnie.
Marnie got his trade. Like, let's be real. Marnie got his trade with that Mercy. Does not matter. Marnie gets the trade. But you see now they have to make swaps, and these are the correct swaps you're supposed to be going into, running into this, what I call the most chaotic comp you could run into as in like my damn ranked games if people don't know how to land shots, because...
Yeah, I mean, Aurora are on Anna Bridge. Anna Bridge, Orisa double hit stack. Like, Black Music Society have just forced Aurora onto the worst comp I think I've ever seen. Like, what
a lot of it is chaos, right? Oh my god.
Yeah, Perth on my screen. Get him off my screen. Good. Spit on him. Get him out. Ugh, it's ugly. Nice stick. Never mind. It missed. Nonetheless, it's fine.
It forces the rally, and that's a huge enough cooldown out of the way that allows your ball to at least like get some breathing room. You're trying to at least force out other cooldowns and ultimates. Blind Music Society are actually doing decently well with this, right? Especially with the composition that they want to run. And Yukino's just tanking all these sleeps that Monkey Pants wants to toss onto everyone else on the team. But with their HP very low and Nagi having to play with their life also to make sure they stay alive, but she's doing a great job. I think part of this is you did say how Ikiriko might not have a lot of safe TP targets, but if they're everywhere all at once and you get the major perk of like the double TP, you're safe no matter what. I'll be real with you.
It's one of my favourite films, that everything everywhere all at once. That's the aim of the game for Blind Music. One thing I will say is this perk that turns Concussion Blast into a mini Graviton Surge into a mini Halt is terrific, particularly with a board composition. That's not something that should be understated. That's not something that should be forgotten, but they've got to fight on an objective, and that's where the Blind Music Society comp falls down. That's where it is weak. Music Addicts just dodging, diving, ducking, weaving, GAing in a straight line, and Pers is going to track them and clean them up as Joshin decides to explore the embers of Southern Numbani. The fire dies out, and Aurora still not happy with Anna Brigg as a comp, Saya, but like it's worked and they've stabled.
I think part of what makes it work right now, especially in this last push of Numbani, is that you have the shorter spawns. So it's easier to kite around the natural cover, avoid the slams, and kind of survive in a way. And you have an Orisa tanky on point. There's really no consistent point presence. But what Blind Music does have is 4 ultimates. They could use this to re-engage. An early rush from Nagi might not get as much value, but I think it forces out the Orisa in the process.
Nice stick. It's forced into Nano and Rally as well. So 2 ultimates just to keep Aurora alive. I think Joshin would have wanted the moving barrage perk for this last point, to be honest. It looks so good here. Being just stuck in point with the vast open spaces of Numbani third. It's really, really difficult. Blind Music have to commit to this competition. Oh my god, he got him off the recall as well. Okay, Dawes. Again, this is one of our MVP candidates this season. It's exactly why. I just feel like Dawes at this point is just gone Orisa, grabbed their team by the scruff of the neck, beaten them round the backside and said, listen, calm down, play in hard cover, play with a roof over your head so you can't get splashed by the Farah, and just wait. Just wait.
Exactly, that is exactly how you should be playing as a Anna Brigg. Dawes managing to get Josh, and means that this is going to be a tougher push damage-wise. Terra Surge on point denies any further movement, and
C9.
Unfortunately denies also a touch because teams are forced to C9.
Yeah, C9, aware. And that makes Aurora 2-0 up to the good. So Blind Music need to reverse sweep or find themselves in the lower bracket. The Freya ban, I think it wasn't too bad, particularly because you intended to hit the Farah, and the Farah was working until it wasn't. And that is just Farah, I think, in Overwatch to you, to be honest, because once the steam train starts rolling, it was really hard for Aurora, but once you have to retake as Farah, the enemy team have angles, they can scout you out. Third point for Farah, I don't think it's particularly that good anyway.
Nope.
If I'm Blind Music, I think I just hit the hard counter swap. But third point of hybrid is always very different to every other point on the map. So
I agree.
It is what it is.
We're
experts in armchairs, so whatever the saying is,
I was going to say, I think at that final point of Numbani, right, as much as that Farah from Joshin has been getting the value that it is getting, I think maybe at that point you might need a Genji swap. I know you've seen Joshin play that Genji. I think that's something that could have been pulled out, because you did point out Farah really isn't that great on third point Numbani. There really isn't as much high grounds to stabilize. The areas of cover you're able to play in are much less than, second point or even the first point of Numbani. So it overstayed its welcome. And I think that's something that Blind Music Society kind of needs to realize, is when something overstays its value or its welcome. You saw at least in points where Tilted Waffle did switch off characters he was playing, and the switches really did change things up and allow for a better push for Blind Music Society. But I think in that situation, it might have just been the Farah swap that's needed.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, weren't able to hit the golden box for victory. And it was so very close. But I think that might just be like me theory. I'm such a big fan and sort of prophet for being able to just hard counter swap your whole team on last point of hybrid, because I think the map is so vastly different.
Yes.
With every other map. Second points are always like a hell in terms of battling cart, battling high ground, trying to rotate. Whereas third point is just like normally a short swing and then a straight line. I can see why they kept Farah on third point. Unfortunately, it didn't work. And now Blind Music Society get another pick, save their upper bracket run. We're going to push Flashpoint, where Wrecking Ball is still open. Farah is still open, but Freya is back on the board, that dastardly beast. As I said going in, this is the map where you really have to win because you take away Freya. Now, if you're Blind Music Society, I think your next best takeaway is either Tracer, or you probably take away a strong Doors tank, or you take away Brigitte from Marker because he's played it in 2 maps. I think you probably take away Brig, because your backline doesn't play Brig and theirs does, and it just means that your enemy backline lives infinitely because it's Brig. If you don't take away Brig, I'm not sure what you would ban. If you're Blind Music.
I think if you're Blind Music, I think what you're comfortable doing is like, hey, we if we're banning a support, it really is to hurt the enemy team. It's not gonna affect us whatsoever. But I think the challenge with banning a strong tank that maybe Dawes has is Dawes will definitely have something else in the pocket, whether it's that Winston or that Orisa. They were just showing so much work with it. So
yeah.
I think at this point, if you are Blind Music Society, you go to a map type you go to a map that you are very comfortable in, and then ban a hero that's gonna make it difficult for your team to get, the value that it wants. Like or at least the player that wants to play a specific character to get the value that it wants. So if it's something like a Pharah, for example, if you do insist on playing a Pharah in New Queen Street, that would mean having to nerf one of the other hit scans, right? Maybe you go into that straight Freya v Freya mirror against Luster, but deny, another hit scan, or maybe deny what Perseus wants to play.
Yeah, and one thing I will say as well is that Ball is really good on New Queen Street.
Oh, yes.
Sir Ravasa good, but it's really, really good. And NQS Aurora in the past have lost to Wrecking Ball on New Queen Street. They did it in the regular season to Maeda. So if UT wants to try and pull out a Wrecking Ball pick, this one is it. But this is an Aurora team that I think going in, to be honest, Freya, I don't think they care. I think they're unfazed. They've lost who pretty much everyone considers their strongest DPS, which leaves them with what people would consider a good or average DPS line. I don't think anyone is particularly throwing up. I believe Luster might be in All-Star conversations. And they've been strong this season. But you get my point, nonetheless.
Yeah,
Losing Wave and still playing this well, great for Aurora. Really good sign.
I think for Aurora, Luster's one of those players where he wasn't really able to shine if you were put in the same team as someone like Wave. So the fact is, even before this Aurora team, Luster has been performing well in, I guess, the past teams he has been. So whether that was in teams like Holy Bingo doing pretty well there, or even in Solok and Cinerum, they were doing work, right? It is just, this is the one time they're finally on a team where you come with a tank and a backline that knows how to really keep themselves alive and successful, and you're finally shining because the other person you were sharing time with is unavailable.
Yeah, it's I definitely, now that Luster is able to showcase a little bit of variety in their hero pools and strengths, they did an excellent job. I will say, I think Pers quietly had a really, really solid. Pers has had some rocky performances, and I think they'll admit themselves, but they've quietly been very, very good this season. Aurora banning the Genji here, not something we thought we'd never see, but obviously the rest is that good. It's just an excellent sign, I think, that Aurora are able to just go to Luster and Pers, which is a comp that they have been playing all season. But I definitely wouldn't say it's their best look. This is almost their second best. Mm-hmm. Still, one that they've looked really comfortable and confident in this map. So far, my series MVP would actually just still be Doors. Whilst I think Luster and Pers have been quietly great or quietly great, Doors is taking full use of the fact that Blind Music Society just don't care that he's on their team. The couple of times they have, Doors has been shot and killed, but when they haven't, they have just ran the lobby. Doors has been so uncontested in so many of these fights. Fights where he has been hard contested, has just like insta fallen over, he's been pulse bomb, etc. But Doors is getting so much good resource from Anna Bridge and just running the lobby with it. It's insane.
Yeah, but we did see the bans just briefly. Blind Music Society opting to ban the Orisa already, hinting very strongly that they want Yukino to succeed on this Wrecking Ball coming into New Queen Street. Aurora banning the Genji, and I think this is supposed to cause a bit of chaos in terms of the DPS line, right? Both Tilted Waffle and Joshen could play that Tracer, but then the challenge is if you have Tilted Waffle on that Tracer, Genji is banned, Joshen then is forced to play, or at least would feel the most comfortable playing the Pharah at the end of the day. But if Pharah isn't working as well, then you're gonna have to weirdly swap Joshen into a Tracer and then Tilted Waffle into whatever hit scan. So that's what it might be looking like. And Yukino's on Aurora. Yeah, Yukino's on Aurora. I get it. Yeah, Dawes is on Blind Music Society. I get it.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we got names running around. Nonetheless, honestly, this is one of the characters I suspected Yuki to play, to be fair. Ramatra has been available the whole series. Diva, I think, is sometimes a bit difficult because your DM management has to be superb and you almost have to DM your team across rather than DM yourself, and it feels like more of a rank thing. When you get shot and killed in officials, you need your support to heal you. And again, Lucio Curie, like with 30% DPS passive, that's low heal. Doors pulling out the Jungle Queen, expecting the Wrecking Ball. Yuki on the Roadhog, and that's an instant push. Forces Suzu, but that's actually traded because Aurora lose a lot in rotation. Their Music Addicts just fought, dare I say, jaywalking. Welcome to Canada. Shout out Cobalt. And yeah, Yukino fallen next. Aurora just not been blended with the fight. You're on hard. How did
it seems like for Blind Music Society, Mani sometimes gets caught out with these certain aggressive plays, or at least trying to create an opening for, the Blind Music team to get value, right? Create an opening, but it always seems to place him in a spot where it gets his head shot off by whether it is Luster or is Perseus. Hook from Yukino trying to whittle down this queen. No follow-up really. So as much as it forces out other cooldowns, it forces both of your cooldowns.
Good talk from you, team. What Faya was saying earlier there in a nice way possible, is that sometimes the Music Addicts just runs it down pre-fight and literally no apparent read. Nonetheless, nice hook from Yuki. That's not much of the Kiriko to do about it. He's not expecting the flank. Blind Music, they get some nice hits with the help of the Yukino Hodge, just speeding them around. The Suzu, of course, being really good in case of more of the side to go to Anna, which is like the classic odd counter hit. Tilted Waffle dropped the Reaper, going over to it as well. So this is just a case of how much impact can Yuki have on the Diva. Doors might potentially hit the spot, but we'll see.
We will see some banter between the tanks, but already Yukino with a whole hog means they have an opening of sorts to create some space. I don't really think whole hog really gets as much value as it would like, but Perseus is for a pick. Tries to carry, goes a bit low. Potato.
Did we get booped into Pulse Bomb? I'm going to assume that we got booped into Pulse Bomb.
No. There was no pull. No, there was not. No. Paw Patrol was nowhere near.
I'm going to assume we got booped onto Pulse Bomb. Yuki is just shot and killed live. Nice trades from Aurora, who watched the Jet here, but again, just some good overall follow-up. The Junkie Queen.
Hey, I would say...
It's not bad here, but...
Yeah, I was also going to say, Blind Music Society actually got a significant amount of distance from all of that. Still in the lead, 7 minutes to go. They will have rush for this next engagement, and if you are Blind Music Society, you are hoping you're clumped up when Dawes decides to use this JQ ult, but definitely Dawes, being a good tank, would probably wait for that Suzu as much as they can.
Yeah, definitely going to be patient with it, and Aurora are going to know this. They're going to know how to force Suzu. In Kitsune Rush, it's going to be harder though. The Potato drops with aggression, and they're looking at active whole hog not available. It was expended, but Luster on the offhand will back to him that Rotak cannot deal with. Now they push them out of the west. Lucio's feet. The hook comes in direct, one shot back. Luster goes down. the OC, no value for them, no any quality on lockdown, on shield. Music Addicts is traded, but it's all Josh and on the left side of the field. And low key for my own agenda, kind of hoping that Blind Music win this map so I can at doors afterwards and say at doors I would have done Zarya there. And purely for rage bait, purposes. Purely for rage bait. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Just to rage bait.
Okay, well, Blind Music Society did use the A ultimate in that fight. Aurora still has 4, forcing out at least this overclock from Tilted Waffle, trying to push everyone into a sight line. Aurora playing actually pretty safe from this one, so overclock gets no value whatsoever. But Aurora should be able to re-engage with maybe a rush or a jungle queen.
Doors ulted into the doors. We didn't know the interaction.
Even Trade Buggy Pat's getting 2 though, so this is looking like it's still blue. It's back and forth. Up 1 for blue. Up 1 for blue.
It's actually worth. Okay, so clearly the secondary effect of the Jungle Queen ult is that it just turns Funky Pants' aim assist on, and they kill 3 people instantly. Really nice. To be fair, they anti the Rotom, so there's no Suzu available. Yuki did just one-shot that Jungle Queen though. Unfortunately now they can't one-shot the Red Monster. Me personally, I'd have gone Zarya. That's just me.
But well, here's the thing. Blind Music Society have no ultimates to work with yet. Aurora still has yet to use their respective Rush and Lucio Beat. And I think they're just waiting for the best time where everyone is clumped up. But the thing is, Blind Music Society now with this specific comp is never going to be clumped up.
No, definitely
so you might as well rip it.
Dawes has taken a lot of damage here pre-fight, but they just basically followed Keith. Actually, excellent Kitsune rush from Funky Pants. This was so good from the Kiriko. Potato just picked off Dawes. We sat again against the ball cop. You can just sort of run as Ramatra here and 1v1 people. It's excellent. It's easy pickings. Dawes again, there's the punch. Joshin has to blink forward to get away from the Ramatra. Trying to make everyone suffer as nonetheless. Yuki's done a steal bot a little bit here, but again, it's just that lack of frontline presence. Blind Music Society that's just letting Aurora run the whole map. Like, Dawes is doing Yuki's job better. Yuki's job here is to pressure out and look for hits, whereas Dawes can just be Ramatra and run at a bunch of people 1v1, 1v1.
Pulse forces out Suzu though, so that is an opening for Blind Music Society. No ults really to work with. Besides this overclock from Luster now whittling everyone down, and Yuki forces you shields just to get out of the way. Not looking great for them. So points should turn around for Aurora at this butt scratch. Beat forced out by Music Added means they can aggressively enter with Tilted Waterfalls overclock, trying to find a pick, and it's just melted down by this Ramatra.
Aurora are excellent, by the way, at making sure to actually do something productive and aggressive and proactive when the ball is forced out. The ball has uptime and downtime. Ball's downtime is your uptime. That is your turn. They have pressed the turn button. They've F6'd on MTGO. They've given you the whatever. They've hit the chest lock nonetheless. It is your go. It is your time, and that's what Aurora are doing. They're being aggressive, proactive, assertive, and decisive. When Yuki was offline on the wrecking ball when their cooldowns were on and they could not fight. Yuki now mirroring the Ramatra, you might be too little too late.
Yeah, but too little too late. Shield behind them denies any value. Luster gets Music added to the process, so Potato is forced to just heal bot onto the very low Yukino, and you're trusting your DPS line for Blind Music Society to get at least some value or at least damage in from a different angle as the card continues rolling through this final push of New Queen Street. Another pick onto Potato. Not great. No backline. This is a hard work.
Yeah, it's a trade onto Luster, who was just sort of on main and got caught by the main angle. But with the Soge being main there, they're further enough back that Dawes and Purse can just take the whole map with Kevin, aka Paw Patrol, in tow as well. So it's just excellent. And they sort of sacked their Soge on there to be able to get infinite value. Fan barrier still available for Paw Patrol. They've been so patient with it. Purse going down means, honestly, you don't even need to commit it. 2 minutes left, you've acquired, what, a 50-60 plus the whole pushback. Never mind, we're sending it.
No, you might as well aggressive beat. There's nothing really to protect your last set of pushes. Still on point is everyone else. It's really good re-engage. I think if you were Paw Patrol, I was wondering when they were going to just let it rip for an aggressive beat, because at this point, it's last push. There really isn't major ultimates to work with from the side of Blind Music. You might as well just use it to clean things up, and you have such a great lead.
Dawes has Annihilation on an objective. They have to contest. Purse has killed both backline as well, and this is going to be the strong song to face the final curtain. And they did it their way. Honestly, Luster hit some really good shots, but they were just the bait this map. Dawes and Purse ran this lobby. Really excellent work. Once they got going, nice hod pick from the start for Blind Music. But once Dawes finds that Ramatra, it's just easy pickings. Too many of Blind Music, time and time again, just fall over. One by one by one, as the 1540 said. This time, it was to the Omnic Punch. It was to the Betrayed, you know. I actually don't know too many monikers. The Prince of Pain, I don't know. Rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. Nonetheless, Ramatra, Dawes, excellent this series. And on this map, really, really good from the tank of Aurora.
Yep. Dawes putting up a really solid performance, and I think if you're Aurora, you're glad that you at least have the title this time around of not being tossed into an upset. You have kept your place as, you know, hey, one of the coveted who was in the upper bracket from the get-go, and are continuing that run into upper semis, now having to face Requiem through all of that. For Blind Music Society, they're being dropped back down to face off against Reprieve, who they did lose against on the first week of the regular season. So definitely, I think this should be maybe a closer match once they face off each other again, because as you said, the regular season is always up in the air. The real outcome could be in the playoffs, and sometimes teams need the whole regular season to just get better.
Yeah, and we're going to be down to our final 6 teams after the lower brackets round 1. So we've gone from 16 to 6 incredibly quick, and I think we do have our top 8 here. And I think after this, we're going to have our top 6. Aurora move on, play Requiem, a match that last time Aurora won quite comfortably. Requiem have leveled up since then. That's going to be an interesting game. Birdwatch Borealis could also be a banger as well. It's a complete different clash of styles. I feel like Borealis is so good at just sort of playing through their DPS. With Birdwatch, I think they just funnel everything through Salad and Gulai. So we've got some banger upper game. We've got some banger upper bracket matches for you. Not sure if we've got any BPL on today. Probably not, because it's a Wednesday.
We have one tomorrow. We have one more A-League match to finalize the bracket for the incoming semis tomorrow at Degenerate hours of 10 p.m. So if you are in the EU, your sleep schedule is going to be fucked if you decide to stay online.
I'm going to bed, bro. It's like 3 a.m.
Right. I agree. So for those who decide to stick around and watch some matchups between Smoke Wolves and Chungus Fungus, it is going to be tomorrow at 10 p.m. I will not be casting it because, as I said, degenerate hours, and I'd rather use my degenerate hours elsewhere.
Real as hell. Best of luck to the rest of these B-League teams, and I'm sure Blind Music will bounce back. Good one for the VOD view. Aurora looks good. Again, as I said, I think a lot of people potentially breathed a collective sigh of relief when Arrest was gone, but you've got to remember Luster and Purs are still on this roster, and I don't have enough good things to say about Purs. My MVP this series, part of me wants to give it to Purs because I just feel like they deserve it, because Dawes and Luster have had so much good work all season. I think Dawes deserves some flowers, but also the backline of Aurora were very, very solid. Been really impressed with Funky Pants. I think they get better every time I see them play. Thea, any closing thoughts before we throw it out for the evening and get out of here?
You know what? The closing thoughts is no upsets this time around, but let's see if there is going to be one more on Thursday. Though I think that one actually might be close. So we'll see how that goes. But until tomorrow is BPL, we are signing off.
See you later. Ciao.
It hasn't been